So I think it was horrible because I'm most like Matthew. So he has the biggest heart in the world. And so to not trust him and to not want him in my life, which there was points that were like that, or for a friend to say, how's Matthew doing? And me be like, oh, I don't know. I don't even want to jinx it right now. Right now he's doing well, but I don't know. Tomorrow could be something different. It just felt so wrong because I absolutely loved my family and I loved him. And I'm not an angry person, but he brought a lot of anger to me. And what I realized was that I didn't understand it was a disease. So at the beginning, I really felt like he was making these choices. Like, why is he doing this, basically? And I couldn't understand it. It wasn't, I mean, gosh, this started in high school when I was teaching and, the lying started all through college, the lies, post-college. But it wasn't until his last 2 years of his life that I actually understood that it was a disease. And that's because he started to become more honest. And so then as soon as we could actually have these conversations, it was like, okay, I'll go to AA with you. I'll go to one of these family meetings. We'll try family therapy. We'll do different things. But until then, I didn't know. So then I was just angry. But yeah, so it was horrible. And it did tear our family apart for sure. I mean, we're strong enough that it would never tore us apart where we didn't, get together or whatever, but there was a lot more strife than we ever really had before, because everybody had different opinions.
Right, and beyond, the immediate siblings and his parents, there were also very large concerns with our grandchildren, their children, and protecting them. And that was another complicating factor, is protecting the younger kids, the kids in the family. Not so much protect them from knowing that Matthew had a disease, but protecting them from being adversely impacted, by something he might do that he never would have intended to hurt them, but it might have resulted in hurting them.
For instance, driving them somewhere, right? Like, obviously, like, we were very concerned about once I actually knew that he had, pretty significant issues. I mean, there were times that he drove my nephew, and he will tell you he was high. I mean, he should never have done that. And obviously then once we became aware of that, we became much more stringent. But yeah, my daughter will tell you, like, it upsets her that she didn't know that Uncle Matt had an issue because she would have helped him. She always says, why didn't you tell me? Because my kids found out the day he passed away. They had no clue. So.
Wow. So would you say for you as a sibling, the turning point on how you viewed Matthew and his disease was when you started attending the support groups with him?
So I never did anything regularly with him, but I would say the turning point was when he actually told us what the issue was. Okay. So I would say, like, it was the last 2 years of his life. So probably around like 2017, he had the issue that my dad referred to where he got pulled over, and he attributed it started where he was saying he had a gambling issue and stuff, but we all knew there was something more. And so that first 6 months, 8 months, whatever, it was still kind of the typical Matthew. Like, I knew it was probably going to go in the right direction, but he wasn't quite being completely honest. And then when my parents left for Italy, so that was like a year before he passed. That was September. And he passed in August, so 11 months before. That is when he became, like, I feel like, very open and honest with me. I mean, he told my dad. I mean, my dad was kind of his confidant. So my dad probably knows way more than I do. But he started to become very honest with me. And that was the point where I realized this is a disease. I'll never forget sitting at lunch right before he went into treatment that time. And we had a really nice lunch. And he turned to me and he said, I just want to let you know, like, this is a really nice lunch, but every single minute of this lunch, all I have thought about is how I want to be high. And I was like, what? And he said, that's my brain. That's what my brain is. And that's when I realized, when he said that, I was like, wow, this is a disease. Like, his brain is so unhealthy right now. And so if that is something that I feel like is the most helpful point for families, is when you're trying to find help, think about how long it takes a healthy brain to heal. And everybody's different. So don't think about this as a 30-day program or a 6-month program or a year program. Just, do you want to get better? And if you want to get better, then you have to do it according to your brain. And it's probably going to take a year to 2 years. Right. And then it's going to be a lifetime. Right. But a year to 2 years where your brain is capable of operating in a logical manner to maintain that recovery. Until then, I think you have to be at other people's, like, other people have to be helping you in that first year. You can't do it alone.
That's amazing insight. What advice would you maybe give, and I'll ask you each, Kristen as a sibling, to other siblings, that, because we do have students in our alliance that have siblings that some are struggling right now in active addiction. Do you have any advice for them as a sister or brother?
My advice to them would definitely be to take the time to understand that it's a disease, because and to do the research and to do what you can do. You'll often hear that you can't do anything. This is in Matthew's hands. Like, you can't force him to go to recovery. He's got to do it. What you say isn't going to make a difference. I don't actually believe any of that in hindsight, as I was kind of learning and going through. That's what counselors would tell you. I think there's a lot you can do. One of them is building empathy. Like, just try to be in their shoes. I know this is going to sound so silly, but for me, like my dad said, I'm not really into drinking or drugs or anything like that, but sugar is my thing. I love sugar. So when I realized that this was taking over Matthew's life, one of the things I did was I gave up sugar. I know that sounds crazy, but for me, it was really hard. Do you know how many times I went to the cabinet in the first day? 15 times probably, to try to get chocolate chips. Like, and it was so, I thought to myself, wow, the consequences of me eating chocolate chips are, zero. I mean, really, what's the big deal? But if he's going to get heroin, it's the same thing. My brain it was the same concept on a much more insignificant level, but it was the way I could relate to what his brain was doing. Coffee, give up coffee, do something, right? To just understand how their brain is working.
That's actually, that blows my mind. I mean, you're so on point with that. Wow.
Yeah, so that's what I would do as a sibling. But I did that, 17 years in.